So you've only been public for a couple of quarters, but you
Yes.
did have your second most profitable quarter ever.
Yeah.
And yet investors were disappointed by some things you had heard. They have heard. What do you think's driving the sentiment in the stock?
It's always hard to know what's driving the sentiment in the market and with investors. I think, we're still a young public company, and so I think investors are still looking to see how we perform over a long period of time. Hardware companies haven't always fared so well, so I think we're a bit paying for sins of the past as we think about other hardware companies that haven't persevered over the long term.
The speaker market has exploded with competition. Amazon, Apple, Google, some more successful than others. Who do you think of as your main competitor?
Well, when you look at it right now, we think about kind of the silent home as our main competition. When we look at the players that are out there, a lot are actually helping more people get into the habit of listening out loud. And there's always been cheap speakers, Bluetooth speakers, those kind of things. And that's really where Google and Amazon and players like that have played in time. And we're the option for those that kind of get a taste of either a voice assistant or a music streaming service and want to listen on something a little better, built to last longer in your home.
So is any one of these companies taking more share than others? I mean, I know you can listen to Alexa on your Sonos speaker, so there are partnerships at play as well.
Yeah, so we work with all of the companies that are in the voice space, also the music streaming space, right? So we work with Spotify, Pandora, SiriusXM, Amazon, Apple, you name it. And so one of the benefits is that we build products that are really built to last for a long period of time. They sound great, and they work with all the services. So you're not trapped in one ecosystem. You can always get whatever you want. And I think that's what consumers are really choosing and why we're able to hit record sales as well last quarter.
Okay, but Amazon and Google have sold a lot of speakers.
Certainly,
and that's
certainly.
Not somebody choosing any ecosystem. That's someone choosing a specific ecosystem.
That's right. But then when you're in that ecosystem, the nice thing is that if you're using one of those products and then you think, hey, this is kind of nice. I want to get something for another room of the home, or maybe I want something that kind of looks a little better, sounds better, and maybe also works with Apple or also works with Google. If you bought an Amazon one, that's where Sonos comes in.
So JP Morgan thinks Apple should buy Sonos. What do you think of that?
Right now, I'm really focused on making sure we're a successful independent company. We've been working hard to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the consumers, and ultimately, I don't control that.
Would you be open to a deal if an offer made itself available?
Myself and the other board members would obviously have to look at that and consider, any offer from any company. But right now, I'm really focused on making sure we're a successful public company for the long term.
Now, you're re-examining the Chinese supply chain as a result of the trade war. Tell us what you're seeing and what is Plan B.
Well, so we've been in China for a long time. The whole supply chain's been built there. Every component is there as well. And I think last week there was some noise that was incorrect about what we were doing. But certainly, we've had a global expansion plan for a while, and you always want to be in the places where your customers are, those kind of things. And so we've always thought about taking our supply chain outside of China, in addition to China, never leaving China, but rather augmenting it. And so we've accelerated those plans on the back of all the tariff noise and everything like that. But that's not something new. That's something we've been working on for months.
So where are you taking the supply chain?
We're considering a couple other spots, but ultimately, since we have a lot of customers in North America, we have a lot of customers in Europe, we'll want to be geographically close to those locations.
Have you seen any impact on sales as a result of the trade war?
We have not, and thankfully to this point, we have not been impacted by the tariffs, so we've been in a good position. And
what would the timeline be for moving your supply chain to different places?
Well, I think again, it's augmenting, but that's something that we want to be able to do, late this year, early next.
And how about a timeline for getting the inventory issues under control?
We've already moderated those. We've had a great January. So we just said last week, it was a couple weeks of inventory. So I think that got a bit overblown, quite frankly.
So talk to us about new product launches and what we'll see beyond speakers.
Yeah, so there's really kind of three ways I think about this. One is that we're really focused on new homes in new countries, because today only 5 countries represent 80% of our sales. So kind of job one is going to new countries. Job two is new products, right? Because we've been at sound for a long period of time, but very focused on the home, right? And so now we're looking outside the home. There's a lot of other places of audio as you think about auto, you think about headphones, you think about commercial. There's a whole bunch of other areas that I think our system gives us unique possibilities into. And the third thing I'd say is that we're also looking at what services we could be offering our customers as well, because that's an interesting area for us. What would be a great thing for listeners for Sonos to offer? And so those are kind of the way I think of the 3 areas.
Would you ever become a content provider like a Spotify or an Apple?
I don't know. There seems to be a lot of a focus there right now, and I think a lot of companies that are doing that very well. So I think we're looking for things that could put us, and do things for listeners that are a little different than what other companies are doing today.